computers started becoming a thing.
Imagine this though.
Yeah.
End of the world, and he took the time to program a laughing skull for a virus that he's gonna upload into a computer.
Yeah. Totally worth it.
Oh god.
And the aliens are like,
What?
I don't understand what this means.
Oh, a cold. Why did I think of that?
Okay,
Yeah.
we're ready.
ready?
Yes,
Jeez, I need to
sorry.
Snap out of it.
Let's make it happen.
Need another glass of wine?
No, sleepy pants.
Four souls will enter. None will emerge.
Oh, hi, Mark.
If you have the balls, tune in for our weekly discussion for movies, and more movies. Movie news and things they watch on their Netflix queue. It's Hanging from the Balcony with Lewis the Professor,
I have literally the smallest muscles a man can have.
Miss Kimberly the Professor,
Shut the fuck up, all of you.
Nathan Betts,
You like that?
and Thomas the Doubter.
How long have you been doing yoga?
You're listening to Hangin' from the Balcony.
And record. And welcome!
Damn it.
Welcome to the show.
Too many
this
buttons.
It's okay. This is Hanging from the Balcony, where we watch or talk about movies that we've watched. Movies.
Movies, and more movies!
Joining me tonight is our producer, Nathan L. Betts.
Hello.
You can find him on Twitter at Nathan L. Betts.
That's me.
Okay. Over on my right, we have the lovely Miss Kimberly, the Professor.
Miss Professor.
Mrs. the Professor.
Yay! Thank
Yay.
you.
And finally, we have Thomas the Doubter. How are you today, Thomas?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Good. Okay, so we're all here. We're here to talk about some movies. And we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'll get into it. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Okay, let's get into it. So, three of us, it seems, saw X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh yeah, I was one of them.
Nah.
Everyone except for Nathan.
I did not watch that. I watched something else instead.
Right. So we'll get to you, Nate, in a bit. But so what'd you guys think? Days of Future Past starring X-Men.
I was really satisfied, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that crazy. No, so many things.
Not
have
enough
gone
doubting
wrong.
going on. What's happening?
I know. Well,
World's
don't get me
upside
wrong.
down right now.
I can nitpick. There's a few parts.
There's definitely some
where I'm just
nitpicking
like,
parts.
wait. Especially, even if you're not familiar with the comics, if you've seen the movies, you can still nitpick as far
Right.
as plot holes and problems. But it certainly wasn't enough to ruin the film. And I've heard the hype. I'm sure we'll talk about. I've heard the hype about this amazing slow motion sequence with Quicksilver, and it was amazing. Like
Yeah.
it was.
That's
great.
I was
Yeah.
literally
Great.
telling people, I was like, this is literally the best slow motion sequence I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Like I can say that without like a doubt.
Which is
Nice.
something that, boy,
Yeah.
we both looked at each other when it was over and were like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I do
Definitely.
understand why people afterwards, if they want to complain or nitpick, will say, well, why didn't that guy just solve all their problems?
Why don't they just say Quicksilver everywhere
and,
with
and
them?
to be honest though, like that wasn't even like that wasn't even a real valid complaint for me.
Uh-huh.
It was I'm not gonna spoil, but Shadowcat or Kitty Pryde, her unusual powers that she uses, and
I was confused by that because in the comics she can't.
she
do
can't in the
that.
comics, and in the prior movies they've never
Right.
even.
But I
Oh.
went and tried to figure it out, and I read in like some review or whatever that she's phasing through time.
Oh my gosh. Can't even get through it.
See, honestly,
It's bullshit. There's
It's
no reason for
bullshit.
her to be able to do
you know what
that.
they should have just done, and it would have been fine. Have Xavier like somehow do it, or
Yeah.
have Xavier help her or something. Just
Sure.
like, but that was my main, probably the biggest. I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie, the storytelling, the character development, and even the lack of action comparatively to like a lot
But when
of
there
superhero movies.
was action.
When they're in the future.
Yeah, when they're in the
it's-
future. That's
They
fantastic.
have two major fights, and both of them I thought were crazy. What'd
Yeah.
you think of Blink?
Blink was awesome. Blink was, and
Yeah.
then the synergy involved with all the X-Men. This is the X-Men team that we've been wanting
That's
to
what
see.
one we've been wanting all
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah, I think the emphasis
Yeah.
is team there because I
And-
think that's what made it so strong.
I was actually, one thing I was really shocked about was how brutal
Oh, yeah.
the fight scenes are. Like
They
they,
really are.
they don't allude to death or people getting hurt. It's like graphic.
They're getting it.
It's graphic, dude. When you see it, Nathan, you're gonna be like, "Jeez!"
Yeah.
Like there's some kills in
Don't
there. That
I
you're
couldn't
like,
I couldn't
"Oh."
say take your kids
It almost
to
hurts.
this.
It almost hurts some of the kills. You feel bad.
Oof.
Yeah,
'Cause they're so brutal.
it's so
You
brutal.
feel it. And I think that's on the filmmakers' part. They did such a good job to make us care so much and want and kind of root for these
Yeah.
people. And then we see some stuff and it's very upsetting.
And to be honest, I think everyone's performance was.
Yeah.
I mean, no one stood out as a sore thumb or anything. Actually, I Quicksilver. For the longest time, I'm like, who is that?
Yeah,
and then American Horror Story. And I actually
I
love
love
him.
him.
I
Yeah.
want to see him in more
He's
movies.
great
I
in
do
American
too.
Horror Story too. But no, he's the surprise.
He
'Cause
stole the show.
We had
Yeah,
all
I
seen
agree.
pictures of Quicksilver beforehand, on the internet, and we were like, "Ooh, this guy looks like a douchebag,
Yeah.
right?" And then they actually played him, and boy, he plays out so cool.
So well.
Were you excited like me to see Iceman fully ice?
Yes,
It's
yes.
kinda cool, right?
Ice sled and all. No lame ice beam.
I just know it felt like that's the X-Men that you read in the comics when the whole team is fighting a huge threat and they're using each other and so forth.
Yeah.
The future scenes really did that.
Hmm. That's like we were saying. That's the X-Men we want to
Yeah.
see. Like them fighting as a team.
Now in the past, there's some nitpicking stuff.
Mhm.
I was really kind of bothered by the idea that Professor X can't walk, but if he takes a serum that makes his mutant gene go down so that he can't use his X-Men power,
Yeah.
or his, telepathy, suddenly he can walk. And I'm like, how are those two things connected?
Yeah, well,
Like getting shot through the spine doesn't...
The lame thing is it changed his genetic code somehow.
But then how does that heal
yeah,
his
they're
spine?
No,
so
yeah, it
connected.
didn't make sense.
No, they're connected because they say so.
That was the
Right?
only
I mean,
reason.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but telepathy it happens in the base of your spine.
Exactly.
Right above your butt
yeah,
crack
right,
is
right
actually
there.
where it
it's
starts.
right above the crack.
Be
Yeah.
honest though, I almost didn't feel like they wanted him to necessarily walk as much as they didn't want him using his power
Right.
at that point in the movie.
Which I would have been fine if he couldn't use his power and was in a wheelchair, Like,
yeah.
there were ways to deal with it, but I see what you're saying. I just didn't understand the logic
Yeah,
behind
it was-
the connection there.
It's like there's a few things you're kind of like what, but then you forget
Yeah.
because they show you something cool.
I
Mystique
kind
kicked
of
ass.
liked. Yeah, I was about to say I really liked her. She did a good job as an actress.
I think Fassbender's awesome.
but her character was really good.
Again,
Anna
logically,
No. Mystique is Jennifer Lawrence. She's
Rogue,
blue,
never mind that,
blue
sorry.
girl. Yeah.
No, Mystique
Yeah,
was
I like
actually
her.
all her performances were really solid,
Yeah.
and the action sequences are just like really good. Actually,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
seeing her kick ass, it's really really well done. Fassbender, of course,
He's
is
such a good actor, right?
Fassbender's really compelling.
and I don't think there's not very many people who can pull off the way he kind of goes up and down as far as the moral spectrum, and
He kind of plays an asshole, and yet you like him.
yeah.
And I
But
came
it's
out of it
because he
thinking
makes-
he's a better Magneto than Ian McKellen, which is saying something because McKellen's
Yeah.
a great actor, right?
Yeah.
But I came out going, I'm kind of good with Fassbender from here
Yeah.
on out,
Yeah.
No,
What were you gonna say?
it makes it very, I guess, believable because you go back and you kind of see how everything's starting to become the way it is in the future, and it's good. Like
Yeah.
they actually make you realize that there's this separate faction. Now they're like kind of good guys and bad guys, but at the time I think they all made sense. It's just that they were making different decisions, but each decision they made was reasonable.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Like when I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to,
It's hard
especially
to,
with
but
time
there's some
travel.
good choices. Yeah, there's some really good choices made.
But what were you gonna say?
I was going to just ask, what do you think about the end credit sequence?
Are you talking about the very after the credits?
Right.
Oh,
The
I
lead
was-
into X-Men Apocalypse.
I was actually, I'm a nerd, but I think if people don't read the comics or never watch the cartoon, they're probably like, what?
Yeah,
Did
that's
I
what
see
I was
that?
thinking.
Because I don't remember
Kim
that
turns
at
to me
all.
and goes, "What's that?
What is that?
What's happening?"
I mean, I
And
got
go,
it entirely.
That kid will grow up to be Apocalypse, who's
Well,
a big villain in
and
the next movie.
The camera pans to the side, and you see the 4 horsemen standing there.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Did
Yeah.
I?
Do you think they're doing that just for the hardcore nerds? Maybe like
Yeah.
they're like, okay, there's probably a huge section of the
Well,
population that isn't going to get
I
this.
think-
but
I think
this
at-
is for you guys. Here you go.
I think at this point in
Oh, sorry.
superhero movies, people are like, don't know who he is, but we're obviously gonna find out. Like,
Right. At
like
this
the end of
point-
Avengers, people were like, who's that guy standing on the asteroid smiling?
Yeah.
When he's obviously like one of the main Avengers villains, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's all gonna come together. You know, they've been doing a good job not letting people down as far as, you know, villains and plots go.
So this movie gave me hopes for the X-Men future franchise, at least under Bryan Singer. He seems to be pretty good helming it.
Yeah.
I think they're taking a lot of notes from Marvel, actually. They're going back and watching the Marvel movies and seeing what they're doing that works, and they're like, we got to start doing that.
Yeah.
I wish I could say Spider-Man was on level with this, but
Yeah.
so
But hey, 3 out of, or was it 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 Marvel movies have been good so far?
yeah, there've been quite a few.
And then we're waiting on Guardians, which we're all have high hopes for.
Yeah, I think we're excited.
All right, so we all gave it a thumbs up.
Yep,
Yeah.
totally recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
I'll go see it.
All right. What about you, Nathan? Since you weren't at X-Men, what did you go see this week?
I didn't go see anything at the movie theater, but I got a couple of things on my Netflix DVD queue.
Oh yeah, what'd you get?
I watched Paul.
With
Now, that was Simon Pegg and
Okay.
his fat
Right.
friend. I can never remember his
Nick Frost?
Yeah, Nick Frost. And then Seth Rogen as the voice of
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, that's the. Did you see this, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've all seen it. What'd you think?
I actually really liked this movie. I don't remember why I never ended up going to see it at the theater. It was a bunch of people that I really particularly like. It's just one of those things where you got to pick and choose, and you got to make it to something or not make it to something. And this one just kind of slipped by. But I thought this was a really, really well done movie. I'm trying to. I didn't watch it last week. I watched it the week before, so I'm trying to remember everything that happened in it. But I thought like his little alien powers were kind of cool, where he could like heal stuff. I was totally not expecting him to heal that bird just so he could fucking eat it.
Yeah.
That's pretty unexpected.
A lot. There's some good jokes about aliens and probing and whatnot. And what's with everyone in the probing? Like all that. Some good probing jokes and all that. But
That's a good Seth Rogen. I just heard it.
I thought it was really well done. To be
This
honest.
is one of those movies that I remember thinking was fine when it came out. I came out going, oh, that was okay. But, yeah, it just kind of faded from the public consciousness.
Yeah, it just kind
almost
of came and
immediately.
went. But as far as like an alien movie, it's kind of like a spin. I mean, it's kind of a spin you don't necessarily see every time. Like they just kind of accept him as a dude, and Nick Frost character is like almost not okay with him. He like gets pissed off with him and starts hitting him at one point. Like all this weird reaction you wouldn't normally think of associated with coming across an alien species.
Right,
Like,
right.
the first instant you see it, you're like, oh my god, I gotta tweet this, or something like some asshole would probably just be like, yeah, just plaster it everywhere. But as far as like Jason Bateman's character, totally didn't see
yeah.
that coming.
He was in it, too.
Yeah, he was like you kind of see him as like the bad guy the entire movie. And then I gotta move this because this isn't working.
How about the end villain? What's up with her being in like?
That was kind of
She
weird.
shows up at the end of all movies as the villain.
I know. What was the
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. But playing him off as like the villain the whole time, and it turns out he was being a dick because he was trying to help him or whatever. So
Right.
the whole thing, I thought it was really quite a clever little piece of writing.
That's a good reminder. I guess it's been a while since I even
Yeah,
thought about
yeah,
it. What?
same
So what
here.
else did you see? What else you got?
Let's see here. I also sat down and watched. Oh man.
Uh-oh.
I sat down and watched Bad Teacher on the wife's request. I put it into the DVD queue with Cameron Diaz and Jason
We haven't
Segel
seen that, have we?
No, we
and
haven't.
Justin
I have.
Timberlake.
Tom's seen it.
Let me just Thomas, you can help me out with this. Let me just tell you, please, unless you want to recommend to your class on how to not write so she's supposed to be kind of unlikable.
Okay.
But likable at the same time. She's
Uh-huh.
walking a fine line. So like you're kind of rooting for her. She says some shitty things to people. You kind of get the picture that she's in it for herself. She's very selfish. Her whole end goal the whole time, entire movie is she wants to get a new set of tits so that Justin Timberlake will fall in love with her.
Oh.
His character will fall in love with her. It's very, very shallow. Also,
that's what a lot of academic people want.
Not only that, but isn't it because he's in the money, or he's a wealthy family?
He's from a wealthy family, and
so
she gets
double.
She gets okay. So you kind of get a taste of what a piece of shit she is by finding out that she's getting dumped by her boyfriend, or it might even be fiance. I'm not quite sure which, but they're dating at least, and the mom is there. And they're like, they're kind of breaking up, and she's kind of doing it for him. He's like, "Mom, I could do it myself," and all this, all this stupid shit. And
how old are they?
Yeah, exactly. They're supposed to be in their 30s, I think. But you just kind of get
hilarious.
No, it gets really tedious at a certain point. But
okay.
Whoa, easy there, Dougie. But
was that my tummy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the dog telling me to move on. But it's just it's so bad. Like
is it poorly written, poorly acted? Where's the
bad?
It's a really bad combination of Cameron Diaz just doesn't have it anymore, on top of some really sloppy, lazy writing. It's just there's every character has like a divisive thing where, like, except for I guess Jason Segal's kind of just there. They way underuse Jason Segel.
Yeah, he's wasted. I'm the only likable character.
Yeah, he's completely wasted on as far as a character goes. They waste him as a character.
Yeah,
Justin Timberlake starts off as really likable, and it turns out that he's just as shallow as she is. You're like, holy shit.
He's weird in kind of a fun way, but
he's
it's not saying much when everyone else is pretty stale.
And you guys as educators would probably find umpteen things wrong with it, just like that wouldn't be this. A real teacher wouldn't do this. A real teacher wouldn't do that. She ends up like just straight up cheating. Like she goes and gets the state exam answer key by basically blackmailing the superintendent, and got the key, and then helped them basically cheat on their state test.
Oh, okay.
And she gets away with it, and there's there's just all this shit.
The teacher needs the key to help her students pass the test. She can't answer the questions herself.
Yeah, she starts off the school year by showing them movies.
Wow.
And then she finds out that the best teacher gets a bonus. So then all of a sudden she starts teaching them what's Atticus and all the
Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, she starts teaching them to kill a mockingbird and all this shit. And all of a sudden she really cares, and she's really interested in all this shit. And it's so tedious. I got really annoyed with the whole thing.
Kimber, do you remember the counselor with
with Cameron Diaz,
where all the performances were amazing and solid, and then Cameron Diaz, who you could tell had a big part and a strong, important part,
role,
and she just wasn't quite there. You could tell she was giving it her all.
She was trying. I think it was probably her best effort in acting, but she just wasn't good enough.
She just couldn't hold up.
She couldn't do it.
It was really an eye-opening moment for me, because I remember watching that going, I can tell that she's doing the best she can.
Weird one where I chose to skip it
with Javier Bardem, who was amazing.
It just, I don't know, the whole thing. I mean, it might have been because of her character, but the whole thing was just really bad.
When's he not amazing?
He's good, but they're all Fassbender and Javier
and even
Bardem
who's the what with the Penelope Cruz. She was actually quite good too.
Fine, yeah.
She was fine.
Capable
Very
of
small
acting
part.
Occasionally.
Yeah, but
she was a big actress in Spain before she came over to America. She worked with Almodovar on a few movies.
Nice.
So you say, did you see anything else?
I saw one more thing that I really wanted to get to just briefly. I watched a documentary. It was recommended on another podcast I was listening to, and they described it briefly, and so I was like, ooh, that sounds kind of interesting. It's called Let the Fire Burn, and it is almost as true of a story as you can get, because they use stock footage from this, basically the subject of the documentary, is this all black kind of cult, kind of activists. They're called Move, and there's stock footage, kind of them explaining their manifesto and what they're all about. I watched the entire 104 or hour and 40 minutes worth of movie and still could not describe to you exactly what this group did, what their goal was, or anything. Like it was so confusing. But like they had their little documentary that they made or whatever, what they're about or whatever. This happened in 1985 in Philadelphia. This actually happened.
Okay.
And the entire film is based off of stock footage from these guys filming themselves, and then local Philadelphia news.
Okay.
And so there's no interviews, there's no narrator, there's just title. There'll be a title card every once in a while that will kind of fill in some gaps. Like this was what was going on here. Now this is who this is. Blah blah blah. And they kind of did like some depositions and they recorded all of those. So like they just kind of cobbled together everything that happened, because what happened was they were living in one specific area. They kind of got booted out of that area. So they moved right downtown Philadelphia, where, you know, all those, they're not townhouses, but all those houses, it's like an entire city block and one's connected to the next with no yard between. They went and got one of those types of houses. I don't know how they acquired it, but this group got one of those houses in the middle of that section, and they ended up having to evacuate the entire block because they're having shootouts with the police and shit. And I won't spoil it because if you want to watch it, there's just stuff I have to leave out, because the culmination of what they end up doing is so mind-blowing. I cannot believe that this actually happened on American soil.
That sounds interesting.
The way that they resolved it. So,
is this available on Netflix?
It is watch instantly on Netflix.
Okay.
It's called Let the Fire Burn, and and also another thing that was so fascinating. I was talking with Thomas about it before you guys got here a little bit. I was telling him, I was like, I just kept on sitting there with my jaw open, and literally like every 2 minutes when something new would develop in the story, which is kind of cool because this kind of all happened within like a 8-month to year and a half period, and it's literally like a time capsule. It's just like a moment, a slice of American history all. And it was the cool thing about it is like it's before the 24-hour news cycle, and it was back when news was news, and it was just good. And it was back when the news kind of played out like a story. The whole thing plays like a movie, and it was just using the local news. So
isn't it weird that news has changed so much?
I know, and it's so weird because I was only 3 years old when this happened, but I was telling Thomas, as soon as they would reveal like the next weird twist in the plot or whatever, I just kept on looking at it, and I'd just go, "That's so fucked up. This is so fucked up. I cannot believe this happened." I probably said that 20 times throughout the movie. That's so fucked up. So if you want to see something completely unbiased, they give you their side of the story. They give you the police official side of the story, and then you just kind of get to decide who was right and who was wrong in the whole thing.
Okay.
It's really, really fascinating. I couldn't recommend it more. It's probably one of the best documentaries I think I've ever seen.
Wow,
it was really
quite
good.
a recommendation.
When news was news.
Back when news was news.
So
Yeah.
All right, well,
Let
good.
the Fire Burn. Check it out. Definitely, I couldn't recommend it highly enough.
All right, that sounds exciting. Should we move on to
we got
movie news?
I think we
Speaking
got
of
some
news, let's make a segue. Speaking of news,
Well,
what's been happening?
Let's make that segue up, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of news,
Speaking of nothing, Josh Brolin is going to play Thanos in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Avengers sequel, so he will supply the voice, I believe that
Haven't they
means.
filmed Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, so that's weird.
No, Avengers.
Avengers sequel. So
No, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and then Avengers sequel.
In
So
both
are
movies.
they gonna combine all of that shit together?
No, I imagine that he is actually just in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay.
Maybe at the end.
So now does that mean he's playing?
I suspect he shows up in the last few minutes. Well, because first of all, you should know that Gamora, the Green Girl, is one of his daughters or adopted daughters that he raised and taught to be a badass. And then Amy Pond, I don't know what her name in the movie is, but she's bald and blue.
Yeah.
She's also one of his adopted daughters that he's raised.
Gilliam.
Karen Gilliam. And
I was like, what? There's Doctor Who in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
This just got better.
So,
is amazing.
so those two have a direct connection to Thanos, and then Batista plays
That one
The
dude.
muscly guy
Drax
with
the Destroyer. And
Yes,
his-
there you go.
His
shoulders.
whole creation, his whole reason for existing is to kill Thanos. So I suspect at some point in the movie we're going to get a glimpse of him.
So does that mean that Josh Brolin is just supplying the voice, or do you think that they might have like motion captured him? Or
I don't.
It's hard to
I
say.
can't say.
Because to be honest,
he's bright purple, right?
no,
Thanos.
it's true. But I'm just saying, if you look at his face, he has a face that you could throw some makeup on.
Sure.
As far as it's very broad. Thanos has got and that that chin. I mean, I think he could honestly pull a Thanos off if they threw some synthetic makeup on or whatever. But if he just does the voice, or maybe they do a sensor thing on his face.
Now, I don't know if they're going to do anything with him in Avengers 2, but James Gunn said that they would. He's tied to Avengers 3.
Right, that's what it says. We're definitely tied to Avengers 3. Director James Gunn said of the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy, which hits theaters August 1st. Thanos, who first appeared in the post-credit scene in the Avengers, is a major villain in the Marvel Universe and is expected to appear in one, if not both, of the upcoming Avengers sequels. So I hope that I haven't seen it yet, but just based off of that trailer, I hope that Guardians get a sequel. I could watch a couple of those. I definitely could watch a couple of those.
If it's as cool as the trailer. So I'm thinking, think about it. Avengers 3, that'll come out in what, 2018?
17 or 18 probably.
17
yeah.
if we're lucky.
So this is a ways off.
How old am I going to be? Am I going to be like 90 sitting in a hollow movie theater?
Yeah.
HOLO. Hollow movie theater with all these punked out kids from 2030.
That are born next year.
Do you think he, as far as a choice for Thanos?
I think he's great. I think Josh Brolin could pull off a lot of things. I think he should have been cast as Batman. Did you guys all see the Batman picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that already with Ben Affleck.
And his
yes.
Batman
Ben
suit
Affleck.
and Batmobile.
Yeah. It's got that same dreary.
It's the Batman suit of what's his face's comic book, the Return of the Dark Knight.
Yeah. They're with the short ears and
The
stuff.
short ears,
Yeah.
the bat symbol on his chest.
Just a gray bat symbol. Yeah.
Well, it's very
That's not
large.
it.
It's large and fat. It's like a fat bat symbol.
yeah.
That's not it.
No.
It's yeah, that one. That is it. But you see how the symbol's on his
Yeah,
chest?
that's
But
huge.
it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Although that's the wrong picture because
That's a weird picture.
no,
That's
because the actual picture has the Batmobile. Those are just all like stupid pictures.
what people have done is those are just joke pictures on the
yeah.
internet.
It's still great though. I love that.
Snoopy.
Leave it to Billy.
Nathan. God.
He's got a Batman. Yeah,
Just
so,
enjoying myself now.
It's right there
Is
with
this
the,
it? Right
yes.
here? Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
that's the actual
That is
one.
actually pretty badass though. That's pretty badass.
He looks like he could be. And the Batmobile looks cool, right?
Don't get me wrong. I'm like, yeah, that image is cool, but I remember how many actors are starring in this stupid movie.
I know.
How many?
He looks
Okay, so
pretty
here's what the
thick
movie's gonna
through
be.
this.
It's gonna be
Who's
Batman.
in it?
Like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
A
We got
1,000.
Henry Cavill, right?
That's Superman.
And then we got Amy Adams,
Who's that?
Lois Lane.
Oh, okay.
Then we
She
got
was
Ben-
in the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we have
God damn, is that photographer?
Yeah.
Jesus,
We have
she
Ben
was
Affleck.
terrible.
we got
The,
Batfleck.
the chick from
Batfleck.
Fast Five.
Fast
I forgot her
Five.
name.
as Wonder Woman.
As Wonder Woman.
Skinny
Oh,
girl.
okay.
The horse lord from the Drago.
Is
actor.
Drago in it?
Yep.
Who's he?
They didn't say.
Oh. They've got Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
God damn it.
They have Jeremy Irons as Alfred. They have Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Oh, okay.
That would be amazing.
I love the
That is really good.
God, that's so
Is Jesse Eisenberg gonna come out and start doing his lines, and everyone in the audience is just gonna go, God damn it.
You know, I can't.
I think he can
He's
do it.
he's not my number one choice, but I wouldn't be surprised if he surprises me.
Is he really I thought this was all a joke.
No,
I literally thought that was all a
he's
joke.
Lex Luthor.
He's Lex Luthor.
Oh, fuck.
Yes.
Ugh.
I think Jesse Eisenberg's a legitimately okay actor.
He can
I
do
just
it.
But can he be Lex Luthor, though?
Well, I mean, he's gonna have to find a way.
Imagine him trying to
I
be
always
sinister.
saw Lex Luthor as being
Yeah.
older. Are they gonna oldify him?
Well, the reason why I think they chose a
Or
younger
Balder.
Lex is because
Yeah.
in the comic books, Lex and Clark are kind of close to the same
Yeah,
age.
but Jesse Eisenberg is
They'll
33
start out as
and
friends,
Ben
you know.
Affleck is 95. I mean,
well,
you know the movie.
well,
he
He's
had-
older than him
I was
in real
talking
life.
about Clark, not Bruce.
oh, well,
That's
Cavill
Superman.
looks old too.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. He's
Not,
a
like,
young
too
boy
old.
genius who, I don't know.
I bet he's gonna be friends with Clark.
So when
At
does that
first-
come
first
out?
half
When is
of the
that?
movie.
And then he betrays
Superman
him.
and
That is
Batman?
betrayal.
15 sometime. I don't
Once
know.
he realizes.
weakness, what would it be?
It's so far away.
I know.
Okay.
All right. Any other news?
Yeah. What else?
Yes. What were we? We got Adam McKay pulling out of Ant-Man director negotiations.
Well, he pulled
That's
out of
not
Ant-Man.
enough money. I pull out of Ant-Man.
No, here's what happened, folks. Paching-da. So Edgar Wright, who you know from the funny movies like Shaun of the Dead and so forth, he wanted to do Ant-Man, and he wanted to make it fun and cute, and he cast Paul Rudd as the lead.
Oh,
That
funny
would've
and
been
cute.
awesome.
He's like the classic.
And he made a short little video to kind of like promote his idea for the movie, and he sold it to Marvel, and they were like, "This looks awesome. We totally want you to do it."
Then let me guess, they wanted to change it.
He wrote a script. He started getting ready. They cast it. They maybe even started directing. I don't know how far they went. At some point, the Marvel executives came back and said, "We need some changes in the script," and he made some changes. And they came back and said, "We want more changes." And finally, he said, "You've taken away my whole idea here. I don't want to be part of it anymore." So Edgar Wright walked. And then Marvel was like, "Fuck him, we're Marvel, we own the world." And so they went and got Adam McKay, who you know from like Anchorman 2 or whatever, he directed that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was like, "Yes," and then he said no.
I'm good.
So he stepped out, and now who knows who's directing it.
Who knows?
Now this happens. I mean, Kenneth Branagh did the first Thor, and when they came back to him for Thor 2, he was like, "I'm not doing another Thor." And Favreau did the first 2 Iron Man, and then someone pointed out that he didn't do a great job on the second one.
He's like, oh.
Do
do you think he fought
it?
for it, or he's just like, nah, okay, can I at least be the butler still?
I'm gonna go and make another independent movie.
It
called
must have
Chef.
been not too bad if he's still in the movies, though.
No, with Favreau, it wasn't a bad breakup, and I don't even think it was really with Branagh. There was somebody, I can't remember which movie it was right now, where they basically changed out directors halfway through the process.
Ooh.
I know with the first Captain America, they went through 1 or 2 directors.
That's rough.
But, you know, this happens. Actually, it's pretty common in Hollywood. It's unfortunate with Ant-Man because I really do think Edgar Wright would have
Had a good direction.
very unique take on it.
Yeah, definitely.
But maybe too unique, and Marvel was like, "No, we want this to be just one of our, movies that fits right in with everything else." And
Yeah,
so-
I mean, because so far Marvel hasn't done a terrible job butchering it too much.
right.
So it's like, but at the same time, Wright is so cool and his movies are great. So it's just like
It would have been really good to see him get a chance at a big,
yeah.
possibly big performing film.
Oh well.
So what else we got on there?
We also got one last one that's also somewhat comic related. Would Marvel really cancel Fantastic Four to snub Fox, the actual comic book?
A source in Marvel said that that's what they were going to do, as far as pull the comic book to stop the movie being popular or doing well.
Yeah, basically.
And that's a source
in
in
hopes
Marvel.
that Fox would let them have Fantastic Four back.
I don't think he mentioned that, but it's just, I think it's Marvel's way of fighting ruining their kind of universe, because a lot of people don't realize they're different studios, and so they're coming out with the shitty Marvel movies, and they're like, "What's up? All these other Marvel movies are good."
Right.
So I imagine Marvel's just like, you know what? no more. Like,
I wish they
we're
could
just
do
gonna
that
make it
with
harder.
Spider-Man too. God,
Yeah.
So-
or Spider-Man also. I mean, oh my
there
God,
was
it's-
Sony. Fox does X-Men and Fantastic Four, and the last two Fantastic Fours were not fantastic. They
And-
weren't terrible, but they weren't
Yeah,
fantastic.
and who knows? Maybe they caught wind of what the script or what the actors they were getting, and they're just like, no. Especially if it went against maybe the direction they want to take the Fantastic Four
Right.
in the comics too. So
Well, the comics are interesting because they're one of the tent poles of Marvel. They were one of back when Spider-Man and Avengers were first being like invented. Fantastic Four came out back in the '60s, and they're never great. You guys
No.
read Fantastic Four?
it's
They're
they were
always
more
like,
they were more of science fiction before cosmic was really a popular thing.
Right.
Like they're the ones exploring outer space or different dimensions in their stupid made up machines or whatever. Because Reed was a scientist, and
Is that where Silver Surfer came into play?
Yeah. So where most heroes were just hanging around New York City,
Yeah.
they were the ones
They
that
went
went out in
interplanetary.
yeah,
Right.
it was.
It'd be a little bit petty to cancel the comic if that's the only
Yeah.
reason. But
And there's maybe they just saw the direction they were going, and they're just like, we don't want to be.
We'll see.
even
I
connected
mean,
to this.
I don't know if you guys are you excited for the Fantastic Four
No,
movie?
not at all.
I don't think anyone is, but
No.
maybe we'll
Maybe
get
they
there
can get
once they
Fassbender as Doctor Doom.
start.
Right?
Right?
The Fantastic Four is Marvel's longest-running comic book and is the foundation of the Marvel Universe, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in
It's old.
1961. So that predates Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man came along in 68, right?
Maybe 62?
64?
Maybe.
Something?
Early
So,
60s. though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting news. Something to think about. I'm actually now thinking about the Fantastic Four movie. Oh, that's the one where they cast Miles Teller as Reed Richards.
Oh, and
Jessica Alba.
Not Jessica Alba. It's
Or not just. Yeah, sorry.
Mara Rooney, or what's her name? Rooney Mara. Who's the girl that's on House of Cards? The reporter.
Kate.
Fantastic Four.
Kate
Kate Mara.
Mara.
As who?
right.
Her sister.
Sue Storm.
In the
Invisible
movies?
Woman. Yeah, in the new movie.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the old
Oh,
movies.
that's good.
No,
yeah,
the
we
old
were.
ones.
You
The
were.
old ones has Captain
no,
America.
I thought
in
that's
Yeah.
no. I thought you were talking about the older ones. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, who that was Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and
Michael Chiklis
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then the guy who played Reed Richards has a Welsh name, so you can't say it. It's like Ian Gafford or
McKellen.
something. Gifford. But if you like,
They didn't get the worst actor for Thing.
no, he's a great actor, but they put like styrofoam on his head and said, "No, you're the monster."
Well,
he
don't
was
get me
5'2", and I was
Obviously,
like,
it was a poorly written and
Yeah.
just a bad story altogether.
It
But
was a bad story. And then when they did the sequel with Galactus, and Galactus was just a big cloud, and they had the Silver Surfer, who, if you watch the sequel, that movie's terrible, but the Silver Surfer was cool.
yeah.
that was back when
you
CGI was still not quite there yet.
No,
right? That was like
it's not
2002,
there.
2003.
You can't, no matter like how I cut it. I'm trying to like visualize it. Maybe if I was a director or something, you can't make Mr. Fantastic not goofy looking when he's stretching around.
Yeah.
It's just like in the comics, like it can work just because they can modify it. I mean, he does look silly still, but in the movie, it's like 10 times worse. I think.
Right.
Like,
looks
don't
like
worry,
Stretch
guys. I'm
Armstrong.
gonna just make myself into a slingshot.
Someday we should make a video where I have Fantastic Four Reed Richards power, and we'll just shoot me, and I'll say, "Would you like a soda?" And then we'll just do a shot of my hand, and the camera will just follow, and we'll have this sound effect that goes.
The sequel you've all been waiting for. Fantastic Four 3.
Yes.
Starring Lewis.
I love that. We'll just make it a 10-second time.
Oh my
just
gosh,
a
we have
10-second
it.
short.
Mr. Fantastic,
So great.
Invisible Girl,
Yeah.
Thing,
Yes.
and I guess Torch, whatever. I'm not crazy about it.
That's
but-
okay. You're very natural at saying "flame on."
Yeah.
That's right, he said that, didn't he?
He did.
He has to.
Several
It's in the
times.
comic. That's
He
his
has to.
catchphrase.
He has to.
So-
Just like the thing is, it's clobbering time.
Who says that ever, even as a person?
I do when I'm clobbering.
You're not.
Oh my God, yeah.
slobbering.
When it's
When I'm out clobbering fools, I
Yeah.
say that
Well,
for
at least
sure.
I
when
guess-
it's sexy time once a month in this household, that's the exact words that come out of my mouth. It's clobbering time. Take down those pants.
That's
Which is why
horrible.
it's once a month.
That's right. One time a month.
God damn it. No, well, what about I guess I did forget in the movie. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about old Fantastic Four movies.
Well, why not?
The Johnny does have the doll that says it's clobbering time. I don't think he actually says it until like he sees the doll.
So he like rips the doll off. That makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
the thing that says it.
No, the thing. Johnny Storm's showing him a thing doll,
Uh-huh.
and he pulls the little cord.
Oh, and
it
that's
says,
what makes
it's
the
clobbering
and
time.
that's why the thing.
And then
says
he
it.
starts saying it
Alright.
out loud. That's
Yeah.
funny. That actually works.
Yeah, I could
Why
see
not?
that.
Why not? So that's all of our news.
Okay, that's our news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we talk about our homework?
How about it?
All right. So what did we watch? Kim, what did you assign? You don't remember?
I
do you?
assigned Pain and Gain.
Oh
Yeah, we needed some Mark Wahlberg before we got Transformers. What, 7? What is it?
86.
Okay, 86.
It's 4.
4, whatever.
It will be 86 soon, though.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about
Michael
it.
Bay will be like 92.
Yes.
We need more explosions.
Speaking of
Can we
Michael
get
Bay,
more perspiration on the girls?
do you think he had such a good
Put a flag
time
in the background.
working with Marky Mark that he was like, you got to be in my new Transformers because we're getting rid of that
Yes.
Shia LaBeouf guy
I
with the stack on his
absolutely-
head,
I think so, too.
I
motherfucker.
absolutely do think that's what
I think
happened.
that's what happened, too.
Yeah.
Michael Bay made Pain and Gain, and he said, "I'm only working with Mark Wahlberg from now on."
Yeah.
I really think that. So, what did you guys think about Pain and Gain?
I love that movie. It was
Loved
so
it.
good.
What'd you think, Tom?
Tell us how you feel.
I was like
Use your words.
confused. No, it's like it's a dark comedy that didn't really quite work to me. Like there's parts and they don't, which is unusual for Michael Bay. They didn't rub the jokes in your face. It's like the situations happened in front of you, so that was out of character, and I did appreciate those scenes. Like you just listen to what they say. And you're like, are they actually believing what they say is
Yeah,
like...
yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's some decent writing. But then they kind of go into these antics, but these antics generally lead to these brutal, like...
Consequences.
Well, not consequences, but like these brutal scenes of murder and like... Where it almost, with the panic involved and the stupidity that's happening, you almost feel like it's supposed to be a comedy, but you're just like, it's not a comedy, or it doesn't feel like a comedy. But I don't know.
It's a little difficult because it's a dark comedy.
and I do appreciate
yeah.
the lifestyle. Like you don't see very many movies where you get to see a Florida bodybuilder 90s like lifestyle, their way of thinking. Like they do show how shallow and disrespectful and stupid they are, but they don't overplay it. It's like a realistic way of viewing things at times.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I appreciate a lot of the aspects of the movie. It was too long.
It was too long.
Yeah, it could have done with
It's
about
a
10 or
solid
20 minutes.
2 hours and
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have shaved off a lot of that.
Yeah,
actually.
and I mean, some of the performances felt a little overacted, but they weren't terrible.
I thought The Rock
I
was
thought The Rock
great.
was great. That
Yeah.
was my favorite.
And for me, that was very un-Rock like his
It
performance.
was.
He was insecure and timid at times, and I was like, this is not the Rock I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
So I really like
And that's
that.
really hard to pull off with how he appears in the film.
I know.
Tank top, bodybuilder, badass, but you still
That
sense
guy's
that.
huge.
yeah.
So now you said you loved it, Nathan.
I did. I watched it, and within about 20 minutes, as soon as you found out just how ridiculous the entire plot or their little scheme was, and you kind of get to know the Rock's idiosyncrasies and whatnot. It was just I was in the whole time. I
I've
hopped
watched
on the
a
ride.
lot of movies. I know what I'm doing.
I hopped on the ride and rode the whole thing. I thought it was great. I thought it was great when his toe got shut off. I thought it was great when he
Yeah.
started doing more and more coke and just all of it. I thought he was great. He made the movie great. Tony Shalhoub did great. He was a great,
Yeah.
unlikable, but still
Yeah.
like you feel sorry for him and don't like him all at the same time, which is kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dinner monologues were decent.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were used appropriately.
And it's interesting that we got inner monologues from all the characters, the main characters. What'd you think, Kim? You had a comment about the inner monologues.
Just a comment about the sincerity of the characters that make us like them and kind of try to understand where they're coming from. And that's what was really strong, was we see these three guys that have a really, really twisted sense of the American dream, and they think it's real, and they think that they're going to do it, and they think it's their right. And so it's just hard to watch. And so I totally get what you're saying, where you're like, am I laughing? Am I not laughing? Am I feeling sorry? Am I feeling gross inside too? I mean, like, these guys accidentally kill two people after they tried to kill one person like 3 different ways.
Oh my
and
God,
they were
this
unsuccessful. And you're
fucked
like,
it
how
up.
far can you go? How many things can you do before you realize that you're not doing good things anymore? You're not actually working towards your American dream. And so I think it makes us come from their point of view. And so the way the film is shot allows us to see them as real and as sincere as possible, because you actually get Mark Wahlberg's character who says to The Rock, well, when I said it, I meant it. We weren't going to kill anyone, but that we weren't going to do it at that point, you know? And you kind of believe them, and you're
Yeah.
like, of course.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, things change.
I do like when, going
God.
back to the personal monologue when he's planning out the plans on the whiteboard, and The Rock is just like, how does he come up with these ideas? He's incredible. Then you go over to the other guy, and he's just like,
Full of shit.
Yeah, he's full of crap, but whatever. I'll do whatever he
But
says.
yeah,
I'll just go
along
with it. It's no, yeah, it was.
The weak link.
Yeah.
You know, they did some stylistic things where they'd
They
pause
were.
and they'd show the words, and they'd do some things, and I'm like, this kind of plays like a heist movie, right? Like
Yeah, a little bit.
But then not. So it kind of
Yeah.
blended a lot of stuff that was.
They didn't
kinda
shove it
unique.
in your face either. It was like very small, and every now and again, like where he's roasting hands on the barbecue,
Oh,
and
because that's
just
a
to
deep-
remind us.
This is a real story.
Yeah, like
Remember,
obviously that happened.
Yes, they
So,
want us to
yeah.
know that guy really did in the
Yeah.
front yard. Like it, and they
Oh, on the street.
On the
The girl
grills.
waves at him, and he's just like, "Hey, what's up?"
they want to remind us.
So he was just so beaked out on coke at that time,
Yeah.
he just wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention to what he was doing anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You know, I've seen a lot of Michael Bay movies, and
Yeah.
almost all of the Michael Bay movies I've seen are kind of like rah America. You know, like hooray for
Yeah.
America, America's the best. There's always an American flag waving in the background of some scene.
Something, yeah.
And if
This
you
movie, I thought, was Michael Bay's one time to flip that and say, wait a minute, sometimes the American dream
Gets fucked up.
gets really
Yeah.
fucked up, and it's not,
Yeah.
you know, for some people, the American dream doesn't work. And I appreciated that he was willing to step out of his comfort zone, you know,
Yeah.
his safe space.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
and
too long,
if
though.
you look at the poster,
I'm
though,
gonna say that.
Yeah, it was.
because I've analyzed the poster in my class actually for like visual textual analysis, and you see the two guys, and they're in their workout clothes, and they're wearing white and like little slick pants, and they're on the bench with the bench press, and there's a huge American flag, and then the little logo says, "Their American dream is bigger than yours." And so you see it, you're just like, American Dream, red, white, and blue, muscle men, and you're like, this is just some like, yeah, look at all those pictures, any of them pretty much work, right? Their American Dream is bigger than yours. So these guys are, you think it's the
Frickin'.
rah-rah,
I love
but it's
their
not. And I
outfits.
think that commentary is very subtle.
Yeah, and I mean, because I think if the people who do watch, you guys aren't biggest fans of the director.
Right.
No.
I'm
So
not.
not.
would you say this is like maybe your favorite film that he's done?
Oh,
just because
I would
it's-
say yes.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite movie ever,
What he's done.
but
Right.
I think it's the best I've seen from Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
That's a good picture.
Yeah, it is.
Really shows their bravado, their confidence, their, I don't know.
but
Initiative,
I liked
right?
it's a kind of heartbreaking movie.
Oh, it's
First
so
of all,
sad.
it's
Yeah.
based on a true story, but just listening to the way Mark Wahlberg describes his desires for a better life and his belief that if I just work harder,
Yeah.
then things will fall into place. That's what
Yeah.
you know. Poor people and weak people, it's because they haven't tried. But I'm going to try and make it happen, and he ends up destroying himself. I mean, And in real life, if you look at Wahlberg and The Rock, those guys are massive.
Yeah.
They're massive. And you just look at them, there's those scenes where they're like, I got to get a pump on and stuff.
Right here.
And you're like, Jesus. But I think there's something about Wahlberg being that big. You don't just accidentally get that big. You don't see Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Or
No,
whatever.
and they did feel, the characters felt pretty real.
They did.
They did. And so the acting on their part was
It is
great,
the best
but
Michael
the
Bay
writing
movie.
was
You're
really
right.
good. It was there for sure.
Yeah,
Did you like the motivational speaker?
See, now I'm like, that's so late 90s.
Yeah.
That's
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
that is
Yeah.
definitely 90s. Like, they did a pretty good
But
job.
But that's a good
His car he
example.
drives.
But that's a good example of how the show, what's his name? Director
Michael Bay?
Michael Bay is showcasing the empty version of the American dream.
Right.
He has all this empty bullshit that he's just telling this entire crowd. And they're just eating it up. And you even hear Mark Wahlberg repeat the things. Yeah, I'm a doer.
I'm a doer, not a donor."
not a donor. And you're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And he's repeating it and he's believing it.
Right.
And so it's just he's
Scroll down a little bit.
oh,
Nathan.
it's just so sad,
A little bit more.
frustrating.
The car with the Rock in it.
That
He's so big, and then when he has all
Yeah.
three of them, they're like they're all standing up on one side. It was just these little crappy
moments,
little.
There were
sports
some really
car
good
and-
moments to it. I agree.
I have to say, when I first saw the movie come out, we didn't catch it at the theater. And then when I saw that it was on Watch Now, I mentioned it last time, and then Nathan said that he'd seen it. And I was
Yeah.
like, let's save it.
Yeah.
I want to watch it. I want to do it.
It was good.
I didn't know what to expect. I really had no idea. And actually, halfway through the movie, I still didn't really believe that this was a real story. I'm sorry. I know that there's a lot of movies that play tricks and they just say, hey, this is based on a true story to kind of get you to, fall into it or something. And then when it was, I was like, oh, geez. And they showed the pictures
the
from
side
the
by
guys.
sides and all that.
And
You're like, good Lord.
They were
And Marky Mark's character.
for life. I mean,
Yeah, the character that he
wow.
plays, I'm like, ooh, that does not look anything like that dude.
Yeah, they're much
Well, our
more-
idea
they're
of
much better
muscle men
looking,
in
yeah.
2010s is way different from even 90s. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but we
They're
pump different
They're
now.
like Jerry Crew, the steroids.
It's
Ugh.
weird. It's weird how body,
Yeah.
like mass and so forth has
Right.
changed. Because you go back and watch, if you're awesome like me, old Star Treks with Captain Kirk and Spock, and Kirk gets his shirt torn off at least once an episode.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like the hunk on TV. You know,
Yeah.
he got his shirt torn off so all the ladies at home could be like, oh,
And there was
Well, and then
there was
all the-
none of this.
There's no definition.
Well-
He's just kind of like bulky.
and a little tan. But
little
then
tan.
and then all the ladies are wearing skirts that are like they
Yeah.
put
Oh,
mini
and
skirts to
chest hair.
shame.
Yeah.
Chest hair, now no chest hair.
Yeah, no chest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't see
chest
chest
hair's
hair.
gone now.
Good Lord.
Whew.
Jesus, he's so cut.
He's just huge,
Yeah,
though.
so I
Marky
say
Mark's-
thumbs up. It is a little bit long, I agree, but I thought it was really well
It's
executed.
worth seeing. It's definitely worth seeing. And I like your. It's a nice way of putting it, Thomas. It is Michael Bay's best.
Yeah.
For me, I can't think of one I'd.
It was a
rather.
lot different.
Yeah.
Like based on the commercials, the poster, I expected more explosions. I expected.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what I was.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what I was supposed to expect based off of the 2 or 3
To be
times I
honest,
saw the
just
trailer. I was
based
like,
off the
what is
trailers,
this?
I thought they were gonna be like we're American good criminals bringing down the jerk with the money
Right.
kind of thing, and obviously
Yeah,
that
that was
wasn't-
not. That was
Remember
not
the
it.
scene where they went to Shaloub's house and they all like army run up behind and then they run up to the thing and he's got this big old party going on and they're like,
We gotta get out of here.
The Rock,
They're
I'm
just
not. I won't be
running.
arrested.
Like that's the shenanigans where you laugh, but you're kind of they're just so stupid.
And that was after
you
after
know?
the whiteboard planning.
Oh, I
like,
know.
The Delta Force could do it in 50 seconds, but seeing how we're physically superior, I'd say about 40 seconds.
No, it's
Honestly.
funny. It's
I just
got some
like
good jokes.
I just like the fact that based off of the fact that he's seen lots of movies, that's the whole reason his plan is going to work. I've seen lots of movies. This is going to work out perfect.
And I just love
fuck it is.
It's like they don't egg any of the jokes, or like if you don't
No.
catch it, then you miss it.
Yeah.
It's like the script just works.
That was good.
For
Smart,
itself.
yeah.
It's a
smartly-
smart script.
It
That
was
one.
smartly
all
written.
on you, man. You did it. You ran him over. You killed him. You did it.
No,
it
that was you.
wasn't
You
us.
were driving.
It wasn't
I
us.
didn't have
You were
Yeah, it's
driving.
us.
It was us, right?
I was just
It was us, right?
I was just giving you options.
Oh, he was such a
That
little.
was a funny scene. That
Such
was
a
good.
little
At
sleaze.
least I killed mine on accident. You can't say the same. Just work it out.
Just work it out. Got to pump it out.
So what about you, Nathan? What's our homework for next
Yeah.
week?
I was sifting through my list, and I've gone over. I added it. It was probably one of the first 20 or so movies I added to my list, and then every time I get to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch that. Wait, I gotta get to this one first. Okay, next time. So this one's got a bunch of people that I like in it. I really like Woody Harrelson. I like Josh Hartnett.
Nice. Haven't seen him in a
Ron
while.
Perlman's in this one, and he's kind of hit and miss, so I don't know. But this one's called Bunraku, I believe it's called.
Is that 4 words?
I believe it's just the one, Bunraku.
Bunraku.
Yes.
One word.
I like
And
Hartnett.
I do
I haven't
too.
seen him in quite some time. It feels.
Yeah, I didn't know he was
And
still
this is
around.
and this is from I think
Yeah, what's he done since like
2010.
30
2010.
Days of
Something?
Nights?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, which was
What's
like
he done since then?
2008, I think. Not a lot. I think he's getting kind of picky and choosy at this point.
Nothing big. I don't
Yeah,
think.
nothing-
Maybe some independent films. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe- I mean, I'm sure there's something we could look
I
up
always get
if we
him
wanted
mixed
to.
up with either Ashton Kutcher or Channing Tatum. I can't tell those 3 guys
No.
apart.
I'd say that he's smarter than out of the 3.
Well, okay. I give you that.
I mean,
Ashram Kritchner.
I don't like Ashton.
Oh, neither do I. But they look the same is my point. They all look like the
Model-esque.
same guy.
Ja-
Tall, well-built,
Josh
line.
Duhamel is the same as Josh Hartnett too.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about Duhamel.
Duhamel. Okay, so Josh Hartnett since...
I
Tell me
don't know
that's
if I-
not Ashton Kutcher at the top. Go back.
Yeah.
That's kind
Yeah.
of Kritchner.
Kushner.
He looks
okay.
deeper.
30 Days of Night was 2007.
Wow, good.
He
That's
did
good.
3 things in 2008.
Yeah.
2 of them were video shorts. One of them was called August.
So those
He
don't
did
count.
one thing in 2009 called I Came with the Rain.
No.
Sounds sexy.
Never heard of
And he did one thing in 2010, which was Bunraku.
Huh.
Wow.
And then 2011, he did 2 things. 2012, he did nothing. 2013, he did nothing. And then he's got one called
Wow,
Parts
he took years
per
off.
billion.
That's unusual for actors. Now he's in Penny Arcade
Yeah.
Penny Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful.
on Showtime.
I was like, Penny Arcade.
That's a TV series
Penny-
on Showtime.
yeah. Oh,
and
that's
it just
good,
got
though.
renewed for a second season.
Yeah, that's
Have you
good.
heard anything good?
I haven't really looked into it. It's a horror type
Oh, okay.
show on
Yeah.
Showtime, and that's why, because we
Yeah,
can't get
it's hard
Showtime.
to get the
Fair enough.
shows.
So I keep on skipping over it, so I know one way
Yeah.
of not skipping over it is to assign it as
All
homework.
right,
so
let's check
let's
out-
watch Bunraku. It's
Bunraku.
Bunraku, Bunraku, and check that out on the Netflix Watch instantly. And I've got my fingers crossed.
Sounds
Okay, so
good.
that's
The description
our homework
sounds
for
good,
next
so-
time.
Right on.
Thank you, everybody out there in listening land, for tuning in, and
Listening land.
is that
yeah,
what
listening land.
we do? Don't forget to do your homework, Bunraku. And
Natural radio personality.
is that it? We done? You can check us out at
Yes.
YouTube.
He's mine.
Oh man! You can check us out on YouTube at Time Spent Poorly.
Yep.
YouTube Time Spent Poorly. We're on Twitter at Time Spent Poorly.
Yep.
We're on Facebook. at Time
TSP
Spent
underscore
Poorly.
1 is
Wait, what
the
is
Twitter.
it?
It's TSP underscore 1 is the Twitter for Time Spent
Jesus
Poorly.
Christ.
I'm at Nathan L. Pads.
Yeah, just do that.
Give us a thumbs up on Facebook.
Yeah,
We need more
thumb us.
people. We need more people to like us on Facebook. We've been stagnant at 156 likes for
we
like
are
3 months.
currently at 4.
Yeah, and we're looking for the 5th. Always
And-
been since 2011. We've been looking for that 5th
Caller
listener.
number 5.
We're
right.
currently at 3 likes. One of us hasn't liked.
Uh-oh, Tommy.
Tommy, stop being such a hater.
Yeah.
I am, busy with my
Hating
passion
things.
with
Whatever,
this
too much
network,
time.
Sure.
Too busy hating
Well,
things.
anyway, go watch the movies, and we'll see you next week here at Hanging from the Balcony. And until then, have a wonderful movie night.
Yeah.